I'm Tom Baker, this is Chasing Cars, and today is all about taking a deep dive together into the new 2021 Lexus IS, which was revealed this morning and will be arriving in Australia later this year and also other world markets as well. With the current Lexus IS getting on in years, but still being one of the better drives in the Lexus lineup, there has been rampant speculation about when the new model will come out, what it will be like, will it be an all-new car, will it be a facelift, and now we know. The answer is pretty much somewhere in between. The new IS doesn't move to TNGA, which is perhaps a bit of a shame, but the current car is radically overhauled. It keeps its current platform, but with a much stiffer chassis, a significantly wider track, and obviously this considerably changed exterior. And we'll be getting into everything that's changing and everything that's staying the same in today's video. But before we get started, make sure to hit subscribe down below. Help us get to 50K and beyond. And if at any point you have a comment about the new IS, leave it below in the comment box because I love to hear what you're thinking and get a dialogue started. All right, with all that in mind, let's get started now. There's no beating around the bush. The 2021 Lexus IS is not the all-new generation that IS fans, including me, have been waiting for. It's likely that a true all-new IS is a few years away, and we think that car will be based on a new electric and combustion rear drive architecture shared with Mazda. But that is all rumour. What is concrete is that this futuristic-looking four-door is the 2021 Lexus IS. The new car is basically a heavy revision of the outgoing shape. The 2021 IS uses the same new N platform as the current IS, but with a 45mm wider track at the front end, a 50mm wider track at the rear end, considerable increases in the number of weld points, a lower centre of gravity, and even structural changes like bringing the C-pillar forward to enhance rigidity. Several suspension components, including the coil springs, A-arms, and stabiliser bars, have been lightened, partially to offset increased weight from the new 19-inch wheels that Lexus says offer crisper turn-in and more grip. Engine-wise, Lexus have said they'll carry over the current assortment of petrol and hybrid units that are already very familiar to us here on Chasing Cars. That means an entry-level 2-litre turbocharged petrol 4-cylinder making around 180 kilowatts or 242 horsepower, moving on to a 2.5-litre naturally aspirated petrol hybrid teamed with an electric motor and battery producing about 164 kilowatts or 220 horsepower, and a flagship 3.5-litre V6 producing about 232 kilowatts or 312 horsepower. There's a good chance that Australian delivered V6s will include a pack that is optional in America and fits a Torsen LSD to the rear end. Both petrol grades will use an 8-speed automatic torque converter gearbox. One consistent rumour about this IS update was that it would pack the 5-litre V8 engine offered in the current GSF and RCF, either as an ISF or an IS 500. That rumour has not yet been substantiated, but it came from somewhere. And today, top US Lexus executives gave this rumour a whole heap of weight by opting to answer questions about the ISF in a short pre-filmed commentary about the car provided to Chasing Cars. The fact that they're talking about the ISF at all lends a huge amount of credence to this point. I certainly hope we see a new ISF because otherwise it's carryover engine city, and while the current engines are fine, this reads as a little unimaginative. What's a bit more interesting is that Lexus built a several $100 million facility in Aichi, Japan to test the new IS and the brand's forthcoming performance cars. Modeled on the Nürburgring layout, which is pretty obvious from these videos, the new Shimoyama test facility offers a much more secluded testing environment for new Lexus cars, and hopefully I get to drive it at some point because it looks phenomenal. I thought I'd throw in some commentary here from the new IS chief engineer, Naoki Kobayashi, about what he and his team targeted in terms of dynamic improvements to this car.
レクサスが走りで大切にしているのはドライバーと車との対話です。ドライバーの意思が車に正確に伝わると同時に路面や車の状態がドライバーに正確に伝わる。新型 IS ではスペックだけではなく人の感性に訴えかけてくる気持ちよさをひたすら目指しました。通常領域から限界領域まで車と対話ができるために過酷な環境で車両を鍛え上げることが必要でした。そのために大変厳しいコースであるここ下山を開発拠点に選んだのです。具体的にはレスポンスが良く 正確でリニアな応答と素直な操舵フィール、ステアリングを切ってから戻す、またブレーキを踏んでから抜く時の手応えやコントロール性にこだわって開発をしました。
Of course, the proof will be in the pudding when we drive the new IS later in 2020. The most obvious changes to the revised IS come outside, where the sheet metal has been overhauled. I actually think the outgoing shape is very handsome, but sometimes in automotive you have to clearly show that you're making progress, and that means design changes. The front end introduces a broader steel grille, but it's at least functional on the F-Sport model with new active air intakes. Plus, the lower stance conveys the very important wider track of this vehicle. You'll notice the lower bonnet, which always helps with a vehicle's profile, and the slimmer LED headlights with their rather UX-like new L light signature. Overall, I think it's a clean design. On the side profile, you'll again note the lower hood, and Lexus are particularly proud of this new 19-inch wheel design. Agreed, it looks good, and I'm actually a sucker for dark grey wheels, which look dramatic and much better to me than fully blacked out alloys, but hey, that's subjective. There's also a prominent low crease line that extends up into the lower wheel arches, which themselves sit below the kinked C-pillar, which has been moved forward for rigidity purposes. But it's at the rear that Lexus have reserved their most bold choices, with chief designer Kenichi Hirai opting to include a full-width LED blade across the rear end, linking the two shark fin taillight banks. There'll be no missing the new IS on the road, and while it won't be to everybody's tastes, I do think it's great that Lexus are increasingly distinct in terms of aesthetics, and not just a copy of the Germans that tend to dominate this segment. There's a more prominent diffuser on the F-Sport Grade 2, and it sounds like there'll be a louder exhaust note. Moving inside now, and there's little doubt that Lexus's immensely high quality will carry over to the revised IS, which is good. Less great is that many hard points of the current IS cabin also carry over, making it tough to disguise that this isn't an all-new car. Those carryover points include the older steering wheel design and the general shape of the center console. Let me know what you think of that down below. Better, however, is the fact that Lexus are listening to customers when it comes to infotainment. Like the updated RX SUV, the IS now includes a touchscreen, measuring 10.3 inches in this application. The screen has been pushed about 8 centimeters closer to the driver, making it actually easy to touch, and Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are included. No official word yet on whether CarPlay will jump to wireless, but we think it's very likely this is a wired system like the RX. I hope to be wrong. The Mark Levinson stereo that will likely be fitted to most IS grades in Australia is now a 17-speaker unit, producing 1800 watts, which is a jump of about 1000 watts over the old version. That should be loud and clear. Some colour and trim options will be seen throughout the cabin that have changed, with the option of adding tan or red colours to the centre console itself, while open pore ash wood will be available on luxury specs. Still, this is likely to be a luxury sedan that focuses very much on those sitting up front. The seats are the same as before, and we know that they dramatically eat into rear legroom, making for rather tight second row quarters. Right, so that's a detailed look at the new 2021 Lexus IS, which will be arriving in Australia later this year with the familiar engine lineup that we already know from the outgoing 2020 version. But what do you think of the incoming Lexus IS? Should Lexus have done more? Should they have made this an all-new product? Are you waiting for the true all-new generation that'll probably come out in a few years' time? Let me know all of your thoughts down below the video. And while you're down there, make sure to hit subscribe and the notification bell because it really does make a difference to us. And until next time, and we've got plenty of interesting news coming out this week, thanks for watching Chasing Cars.